This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Today we're dealing with a Maytag Neptune washer where the washing machine timer dial does not advance. So we're going to be going over how to remove that timer and clean it. So we're going to just pry it loose a little bit so it's easier to get off. And we're going to grab it and just pull that dial towards you and it should come right off. And underneath there's a couple 2/4 inch screws that you want to zip out so you can get the timer out. And then just push in a little bit on the stem, and then you can reach in and grab the timer and kind of wiggle it out of the machine. Then you want to take off the modular wire connector, the wire harness, and you just lift up on a little plastic tab and then pull that off. It might be a bit hard to get off. You can use something to help you pry it a little bit on either side and wiggle it off. Sometimes these timers just get some dirt built up or a little bit of carbon, and if you clean them, they often will come back and work again. So we're going to pry the top part off slightly, not all the way off, but just up by about 1/4 inch to open it up. You can see it's just pried up a little bit. We're going to squirt in the electrical cleaner. You can get this stuff at Home Depot or a hardware store, and you should probably do this outside because you don't want to breathe this stuff in. But you're going to squirt in as many of the openings as you can. Maybe wear some safety glasses because that stuff can shoot back at you. You don't want to get it in your face or your eyes. And just squirt in, use maybe 1/4 of the can, a lot of the product, and then wiggle the timer around. You don't want to get this cleaner over all the electrical surfaces. It evaporates really fast, so maybe you'll have some leak out as you're doing the procedure, but then within probably 30 seconds it'll all be evaporated and it'll leave the timer really clean. This may save you quite a bit of money because the can's probably $10 and a new timer is probably over $100. So we got it pretty clean. We're going to click it back into position so it's nice and shut and all pretty much brand new. It's so clean. We're going to put a little electrical cleaner on the modular connector too to get any dirt or corrosion that might have built up. I think what was happening with this one is the little motor that turns the timer probably wasn't working because it was just too dirty in there. So we're going to connect it back to the modular wire connector. And just make sure when you do this part you push it all the way in so that black connector cannot go any further. Really make sure that's fully seated, because there's a bunch of wires that have to be in contact with the timer for the washing machine to work. And we're just going to push this whole timer back up where it was. See the orientation, so the black modular connector is more on the top. Push it back up in there, have the stem go through, and then you'll see the little holes in the timer, and that's where you're going to put the 1/4 inch screws back in to hold the timer in place. You can just kind of feed those in by hand and then zip them in with your driver. And that's pretty much all it takes to do this procedure. It's pretty easy, pretty fast. And we'll put the timer knob back on after we get the screws in. There we go. And that knob just slides right back on the stem. And then you can turn it on and you can look at it and make sure that that timer is advancing. I usually line up the arrow on the timer dial with the arrow on the normal phase, and then I start it, and it'll take a little while, probably 4 or 5 minutes before the timer should advance. Just give it a little bit of time and you'll notice that it does go forward. If it doesn't, then it's time to replace the timer and just use the same procedure. So we're going to put this panel back on with 2 Phillips head screws. And in this machine, after about 5 minutes, that timer started to move, progressed to the next cycle. I watched it for probably 20 minutes and it just kept advancing. So I hope this helps you get your Neptune going again. Thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe to our channel when you get a chance. Thanks again.